Did you know the birds will tell you if there's a predator in the forest? They will, from an approaching human to a Cooper's hawk, all the way to a mountain lion. And the great news is that you can learn to key in on these sounds and the cues that the birds are giving you, just like the rest of the wild world does. And I'll show you one of my favorite techniques to do this during the Mindful Bird Sit today. Hey, bird lover, welcome to the Mindful Bird Sit. If you're new here, my name is Kristi, and I help people connect deeply with birds and nature while boosting their confidence, elevating their skills, and helping them to fall more in love with life. If that's something you'd like to do, please subscribe and stick around. You can also check out one of my exciting courses like Identify Any Bird Anywhere. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to be listening for the different voices of birds. So there's the first one, which is like all is well, and just give me a couple examples of what that sounds like to you all. So when you know that all is well in the bird world, what does that sound like? What do people think? Yeah, Cheryl, go for it.
They sound comfortable. They don't sound like they're shouting, they're singing or
Singing. So
they're
singing's an
calling.
example of all is
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Okay. Anything else an example of all is well? Yeah, Jackie, go for it.
Um, just the little sweet chatter that they do to each other.
Yeah, that's called like companion calls, right? So Cheryl mentioned the song. Companion calls is also a sign that all is well. There's an advanced sign that all is well, and we'll probably talk about that after. I'm not going to bring that up now. How do we know when all is not well? When it's like there's danger in the forest? Yeah, Linda, go for it.
There's a certain strident quality to their calls, and then things will get real quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah,
But
it could
good,
get
yeah.
quiet. Yeah. Yeah. So quiet is a potential not all is well sign. Silence is strident. I like that. Can you describe what strident is for someone who that may not like have a reference point for that?
Well, I always think of the Blue Jays when they get agitated. I mean, they're always kind of squawky, loud, and stuff, but when
Yeah.
they get agitated, it's like, rah, rah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yes, that's great. We'll talk about the Jays later, but that's a great example, Linda. I like that. Yeah, Julia, go for it.
Sometimes it's repetitive too.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Repetitive with what? Because like bird song can be repetitive, right? A Carolina wren is repetitive when it's singing, but what is different about repetitive when all is not well? What do you
Well,
think?
it's that more edgy.
Yeah.
Yes, it has
Yeah.
a sharp edge to it instead of
Hmm.
a rounded, rich tone to.
Yeah. That's lovely. I love so for not all is well is like strident. We heard the word strident and we heard sharp. Yeah, so there's strident and sharp, and that's great. So just keep that in mind. That is kind of think broad today with your with the sounds, and when I sort of call on you to listen to different things. But well done. That's perfect. That's all we need to do to start us off. So great. Thanks for joining all today, and let's kick it off by just getting ourselves grounded in our own bodies and our place. So. Get yourself in a comfortable position wherever you'd like to stay for the next little while as we practice together. And take a nice deep breath in and let it go. Wonderful. Take one more nice deep breath in. And this time when you let it go, just allow your more like the weight of your body just to settle in. Letting yourself feel that sense of groundedness and rootedness in your chair with your feet on the earth. Feel that rootedness in your body. You can take another deep breath in, bringing in the fresh, clean air, filling your lungs, and then exhaling. And as you let it go, letting go of what you don't need today, letting go of all that doesn't serve you, but feeling that rootedness when you do so, that you are rooted and grounded where you are right now. There's nothing else to do. You showed up here for the bird sit, so here you are. And all you have to do is just play, follow instruction if you'd like, and just be here. So allow yourself to be present in this moment. Noticing your breath as it enters your body, as it fills your lungs, and then also feeling your breath and noticing it as it leaves your body. So as you exhale, can you feel and be aware and present to your breath? So let's take a couple breaths together, feeling it the whole way in and out, and each time rooting deeper and deeper into your place. And as you root, just imagine that you are a part of this land, just like the tree. If there's a tree nearby you or a shrub, just like they are rooted in their place. Allow yourself to feel a part of the place where you are right now. You are rooted here in this moment and a part of it all. Good work. And so now just feel your skin, noticing any sensations you might have on your skin, whether it be from the wind and the air, or simply your clothing, how it touches your skin, noticing where it might be tighter in some places and looser in others. You might even feel the texture of different fabrics. Maybe your pants have a different fabric than your shirt, or maybe you have a scarf or a hat on. Just becoming familiar with the different textures and sensations on your skin this morning. And still with each breath, as you exhale, grounding deeper into your place. Now we're going to tune our ears in and just receive, simply just receive the soundscape right now without needing to define anything or figure anything out. Just going to receive what's out there. And you can begin by sending your awareness of your ears and your listening in front of you. So we'll start first in front of us and just receive the landscape in front of you through your ears. As if you are the central point, you are rooted and grounded in your place right now. And now sending your awareness behind you. So listening behind you in this moment and just receiving all the sounds that are behind you. And now shifting your awareness to your right. So noticing the soundscape over to the right of you. And then shifting over to your left, stretching your ears, your awareness out far onto the landscape, and just allowing yourself to receive the sounds. And now, just for fun, in the next moment, imagine that you're an eagle soaring high above the scene that you're in right now. What are the sounds that you're hearing from that vantage point? In the next moment, go ahead and gently open your eyes and allow your gaze to fall wherever it does, somewhere 8 to 10 in front of you or beyond, if you'd like to look beyond, finding one point to focus on. Just taking in the visual scape right now in front of you, the colors, the textures, the size of things. And then slowly start to stretch your visual awareness in each direction, up and down, right and left, until your vision becomes almost blurry and soft. And then just receive, notice what comes to you from the visual vantage point. So we're going to begin by tuning our senses. We're going to get our own sensations tuned in. And so what I'd like you to do, we're going to begin by hearing a sound. It can be any sound with any meaning to it. It doesn't matter what it is to start. And when you hear that sound, I want you to notice first where you feel it in your body. So often a sound will sort of touch us or hit us in a particular place. We'll hear a sound and our body will feel that somewhere. Maybe it's in our belly, maybe it's in our chest, maybe in your head. Just notice first where you feel that sound, that reflection of that sound. Where do you feel that? And then notice if any emotion is present when you hear that sound, and do your best to be as clear-minded and non-judgmental. Like, don't put any meaning behind the sound, but just notice if an emotion naturally arises when you hear it. So we're going to let ourselves be in silence for the next 2 or 3 minutes and just let yourself play with this. So hearing a sound, noticing where you feel it in your body, and then notice if there's any emotion connected to that feeling. And you can do it with your eyes closed or your eyes open, whichever one you prefer this morning. As you're listening, you're welcome to shift from one sound to another. Try not to do more than 3 or 4, but that you can shift when the sounds change if you'd like. Okay, good work. So now that you've tuned your body and your ears to the various sounds that are out there, now we're going to listen for specific types of sounds. So we'll begin by listening for the all is well sound. So whatever that is on your landscape, see if you can hear something that indicates all is well. And when you do hear that sound, then do your best to do what we just did. Notice where you feel it in your body and if there's any emotion that arises when you hear that. So, and you can listen for a couple of different sounds, but try not to do any more than 3. So we'll do this for the next couple of minutes. Good job. All right, so now we're going to shift our awareness to mild upset. So, listening for sounds that indicate that someone is just mildly agitated. So, not a very intense upset, but just mild, just a little upset. So, see if you can hear, it's a subtle distinction there, but see if you can hear the difference between all is well and the mild upset. And again, notice where you feel it in your body and if there's any emotion connected to that when you hear it. All right, and now finally, let's listen for, if it's in your landscape, we'll listen for a bona fide alarm call. So something that's distressing. The feeling you get from it is one of distress. You can get that sense. And again, notice where it occurs in your body and the emotion attached to it if you hear that. Lovely. So let's wrap our time by just going back to listening to all the sounds on the landscape. And this time, just noticing what your attention is drawn to. If it's a sound of all is well, if it's an alarm, just whatever it is. So just let yourself play, let your ears just explore and hear what they hear. Great. So take the next moment to offer blessing or gratitude to all those that you connected with this morning through your ears, your heart, your body, in whatever way. Okay. Nice work, everybody. So if you need to head out, thank you for coming and playing. Otherwise, you can stay for our chat and we will see what people experienced while they were listening this morning. Who'd like to start us off? Della. All right, and then Jackie.
Well, I had the privilege of listening to total quiet this morning. There just wasn't anything going on. It's kind of heavy, like it's going to rain any moment,
Yeah.
and there's not much traffic, and the birds aren't singing. I heard just a few whimpers,
Yeah.
and that was it. So quiet, listening to the quiet.
Wow. Wow, what a gift. Yeah, that's interesting because during I don't know what part it was on, but I had that thought like if there's nothing coming to you, then just allow that the gift of that moment of silence, because it really is like how often do we give ourselves that gift of just being present to the silence? Yeah, what a beautiful thing you got to experience this morning, Della. Mm, thank you. Jackie, go for it.
Um, well, there was a lot of machine noise going on. So for me, I could feel my muscles tensing up when I'd hear that. And there were some really unfamiliar machine sounds.
Uh-huh.
So that that was a response for me. And the lack of alarm calls, the all is okay, was the mourning dove cooing
Mm,
in a rhythmic way.
mm, mm.
And
Where
yeah,
did you where did you feel that in your body, Jackie? Do you remember?
um, right here, it was just
Mm,
soothing to hear that sound.
mm,
And then for the mildly, perhaps not really agitated, there were two robins in a tree, and one of them just, it really sounded like, let's go. And then they just flew over to another tree.
nice, nice. You picked up on that. That's great.
Yeah. And then there were times where I was hearing everybody was talking kind of, and the robins, it sounded like they were laughing.
Uh-huh.
Their Cheerio sound, but it
Yeah.
for some reason I was hearing it differently, like they were just laughing. It was so pleasant.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Beautiful, Jackie. Yeah, it is interesting the different things like I guess when we listen in this way, what can arise, whether it's like all the meaning that we're putting on it, but even if it is our own meaning, I found it was a little different for me today. Like there was different meaning when I was deep, like getting deep into their sound, and it seems like you were tapping into that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is such a deep exercise.
Hmm.
It's one I want to really pay attention to.
Yeah.
Of, how are we responding and
Hmm.
how are they responding to what's around us? And
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Jackie.
Mhm.
Hmm. Who else would like to share? Cheryl, please.
Well, the number one bird who's been singing the whole and entire time since I came outside is the dark-eyed junco. And when I was determining, and it was doing its trill, and while I was listening to it, it sounded, especially when it was going really fast, I could hear little bell sounds. And I thought, oh, I never remember having heard a little bell sound. And then I have juncos that I think are nesting next to my door. And they were doing little calls, and their little calls had a little bell sound to it today. Now, I'm on the porch because it was wet on all my outdoor furniture, so I brought a rattan chair outside. But when I was listening to the dark, well, you can't listen to anything else because it hasn't stopped yet. I just want to do a little shimmy every single time. So I'm thinking I'm feeling it in my shoulders, and I just, it was really funny because I had never thought of that before. And the little tink call doesn't make me do anything. I didn't hear even a moderate fuss. Usually, when the birds are attacking the bird feeder, somebody will, be uh, know it's mine. Didn't happen today. And I have lots of birds out here singing. I have lots of birds out here singing. So I'm sorry, Della, but I live, really more on the edge, and there's lots and lots of birds around here.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, Cheryl. That's really great. I love that you felt it in your shoulders and also the image of a bell. I can just, again, we were talking about cartoons earlier, or not cartoons, but where people kind of set up animals to be in like human-like settings. And I could just imagine, or like those Rosemary Moscow cartoons. She's the bird artist. I can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
imagine her having
Pigeons.
like having like a junco with like a little bell. It's just like ding a ling a ling a ling. Like when they want to say something, they're like ding a ling a ling ling. Like if you're like tapping on your wine glass or something to like make an announcement. The juncos are
Yeah.
like ding a ling a ling ling. I want to say something. That's really great. I love that you heard that today. Hmm. Thanks, Cheryl. All right, who else has a story to share today? Yeah, Anne, go for it.
Well, I'm in my camper again because we had those storms that came through last night. So I think they're coming your way, Kristi. Are you still in the Carolinas?
Yeah, I am. They're supposed to be here later on today. They're
Yeah, we had them last night.
Mm.
But I got the grackles are sitting out here and they're never happy. Like, it's kind of like they're either really upset or they're just always complaining. Just their sound, the crack, 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 like, and I felt it in my face. Like I wanted to just go away. I don't want to deal with your unhappiness. So that's what I felt with the grackles. But my yellow-bellied sapsucker showed up here in the pine trees, and it was his tapping, and he's eating because he's getting the sap, and that was just like, oh, and I can sit here and I don't have anything to do but watch him. And then with killdeers, I can hear them out in the field, and they'll get upset at a leaf that blows by them. But I felt it in my legs because I wanted to go see where they were. So I got a little restless. So there was a lot of feelings there. So
Yeah. Well done. Well done with that, Anne. Yeah, what you brought up was actually one of the more advanced layers to understanding bird sound and bird language. And that is the distinction between when a bird is really truly upset or agitated versus when it just sounds that way to us. Because we think of like grackles, jays, Buick's wren is a great example too. Like they just sound pissed off all the
all
time.
the time, yeah.
But they're not. Like that's their song. That's
Mhm.
their way of communicating. But to us, when we hear it, it sounds aggravating or something's wrong. And so that the advanced part of this is learning your birds in a deep enough way to know that, oh no, all is actually well with them. And like I think
Right.
Linda was saying before, like, the Jays always kind of sound agitated, like just sort of like, "Arr," like they're always mad about something. But when they're really mad about something, like you feel
Mhm.
it, right? Like I'm sure you do
Right.
with the grackles. And so, yeah, that's where like and it's what's I think I got to hear, and you can do it yourself if you make you have to do it in the video mode of your phone, but you would make a slow motion video of, let's say, the grackles, and then when you play it back to yourself, you can hear their sound played back slowly. And it changes. Like it really, I did that once with hummingbirds, with a hummingbird feeder. I recorded them in slow motion. Just I was mostly trying to capture the wings, like the motion of the wings in slow motion. But what I heard was their sound, and it sounded like a whale. It was amazing. When you slowed it down, it was like whales talking to each other. It wasn't like the hummingbirds, like the little, I don't know, the buzzy things that they do. And so and I think the same thing happens with the Buick's wren. Like when you slow their song down, the one that to us sounds like, "Gah," like they're so mad. When you slow that down, then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, this is probably the vibe that the other Buick's friends are getting from each other. And it just is like our ears can't quite discern that. But anyway, try that. It's kind of it's a fun
Do that.
exercise to do with the bird sound. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Sweet. Yeah, so for me, I was going to share I had a similar experience with my I heard there was two. One was the chickadee, the Carolina chickadee here, and then the other one was the jay. And when I heard the Carolina chickadee, Anne Marie has mentioned this before with the like they're just different than all the other chickadees from I really know much about the boreal chickadee or even the chestnut backed too much, but the black cap that I was really familiar with in the mountain chickadee, the Carolina is just like they vocalize a lot more. They talk a lot more. And what typically to me, if this was a black cap chickadee, I would think, oh, there's something going on over there. I should go look. There's probably like there's a snake in the tree or something. But it's just them. Like they chickadee dee dee a lot more. And I don't think it's for the same reasons that the other chickadees do. It's like there really isn't a problem. Maybe like I think it's like interspecies, like within themselves. I think maybe they're upset. But anyway, I heard one of them going a chickadee dee dee today, and where I felt it was like in my beak. It's like if I had a beak, I almost like it's like the image of a beak just came to me. It was like right here, and I just felt it like right in my face. And what I noticed is that the other like to me, agitated sound was the J, and it was just talking, but it was like J, 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 J. And it was like up in my head. And I was like, oh, I wonder if like more of the agitated sounds would be like up, I'm not sure. I only pay attention to this once in a while, but today's sounds were like all the agitated ones were like in my face. Whereas who's the one that I heard? Oh, it was the Cardinal, actually. The very first song I heard was the Cardinal, and it was almost like I felt that in my spine because it was it was going up, 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 and then down, 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 down. So I kind of felt it like rising and then falling, but it never went above my throat. It was just kind of like mostly in my spine, but like rising and then falling and then rising and then falling. And yeah, that was with its song. Anyway, that was my experience today. Anyone else want to share theirs? Yeah, Kelly and then Anne Marie, please. Oh, let me give you the button, Kelly.
Oh, I got it.
Got it. Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I was thinking about I have a bunch of house sparrows, and so I was kind of thinking about what I feel like is their flight call. I mean, they just all get super loud and then they seem to move like just in a group, and they could just be moving to a new food source or whatever. But I wondered where the flight call, like when they do that, are they agitated or is it just part of their normal? Because house sparrows can just tend to be very loud. So I think I'll just listen to that a little bit more and see what my house sparrows do here. Uh, I tend to tune them out a little bit, and so this is a good exercise to like, okay, tune back in and let's see what we can learn about their sounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you notice like where you felt it when you heard their flight call? That kind of gather up and go call?
No, I didn't. I didn't notice. Um, but when you said that about feeling the agitation in your head and your face, I was thinking, like that's because that's like our senses have to hone in on where the danger is. Like our
Mm.
eyes have to see it, our ears have to see it, hear it. Like we gotta pay attention. Like that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
hadn't thought about it that way. You're right, that maybe it is more of, and maybe even more of a mental thing, versus just like staying
true, true.
gut.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
your mind then all of a sudden gets
yeah,
engaged,
yeah.
like, okay, what, where, you know?
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
That's beautiful,
Cool.
Kelly. I love that you were tapped into the house sparrows today. And that was actually, you might remember Deanna who came to the
Mhm.
master's session. Yeah, Deanna, the house sparrow was her mentor bird for the whole master's course. So, and she learned a lot from them. Now look at her, she's like top in her county, but yeah, she learned a lot from the house sparrow. Hmm.
Wow, what a choice
Yeah, it really,
like that's just
mhm.
cool that she chose the house
I
sparrow
agree.
of all the birds, like, the one that's all by itself there. And it's, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, she lives
very
in
cool.
Albuquerque and she could have chosen like
Yeah,
any interesting,
yeah,
but yeah, she chose the house sparrow and it was a really incredible teacher for her. Yeah.
neat.
Yeah, yeah. Thought I'd share that with you.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Kelly. Anne Marie, go for it.
I kind of agree with Kelly. Has Starling doing really high pitch like calls up in the top canopy of the tree, and I wanted to go like that, but my eyes are closed because it was drawing my attention to them. Like, wait a minute, something's wrong. But it's almost like they were doing it on purpose to distract, and then they could fly into the feeder and get more access for themselves, maybe. um, and then the mourning dove was cooing like way over on the other side of the house, so I could hear it, and it felt like I was getting my shoulders massaged. It was just relaxing, and I was like, I could feel myself going, oh. Well, the other ones were just kind of singing happier little songs and contact calls, and my juncos are still here doing their cute little trills. I have little bell kind of sounds here or there too, or tambourine, mini tambourines I've heard that described. So it was happy. I didn't have any big silence that I'd been having earlier in this spring, but so I'm sure there will be some more. Ooh, my tree swallows are checking out one of my other bluebird houses. Ooh, yeah.
Yay!
Bluebirds are in that one. Tree swallows can have that one.
Exactly. You guys, right? Yeah, you got that one over there.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, don't get distracted by birds, Anne Marie. Nobody here in this group will understand. Um, just imagine when you mentioned the cooing of the mourning dove, I thought to myself, like, wouldn't that be so sweet? Like, have you ever gotten a massage and they have like music playing in the background or whatever? If they had like the sound of a mourning dove, wouldn't that be so relaxing? Just like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It really is. It's kind of like the massage. It really does go with that. I love that image. That's beautiful. And also, I'd never thought about the starlings, um, not necessarily being mimics or not, but using distraction, like kind of being mindful like a jay is or a corvid. Sometimes I think maybe I'm not sure if it's because science has told us that like the corvids are the smart ones, and then we maybe disregard the mental capacity of other ones. Maybe that's just what I've done. But I'd never thought about, oh, I wonder if starlings do a similar thing that jays do, where jays will pretend like they're a red-tailed hawk or a red-shouldered hawk and scare everyone off, and then they sneak into the feeder. That'd be really interesting to keep watching that, Anne Marie. Have you actually seen them do that before, or is this the first time that you noticed that call and like kind of wondered about that?
I've seen them do that, and now the other ones occasionally, if there hadn't been any sound, it'll work. But after a while, the others are
Uh-huh.
we
Uh-huh.
are up to your tricks now.
Yeah.
They won't.
They
They
catch
won't.
on quicker. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they
And they're
don't seem to do the same abandonment that maybe a blue jay, if it had a really good red tail imitation.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
some of mine aren't as good at that. They don't even pay attention to them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Which, do you know what species the starlings were imitating, or was it just like something about the vocalization that scares everybody off because it's like the mob sort of thing?
It was almost like the red-winged blackbirds, like real high-pitched sweet that they do. So it was
Ah,
almost
okay.
like that when I was checking to see, because I get those too, but it was the starling that was kind of doing it. So um,
Interesting.
and they'll clothe the feeder because they just, okay, here we
Yep.
are, we're eating.
Yep. We're here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. I love all of your observations, everybody. It felt like a really, really rich time for folks today. Yeah. Anyone else want to share before we go? I want to make sure all voices are heard. Okay, good. Well, have a really beautiful, beautiful week, y'all, and keep listening in this way. It's so awesome. I love it. All right. So good to see everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.